Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream with Mint Markets. Today we have Wednesday, the 23rd of April. Um, we have a very volatile market this week again. I will give you a short introduction and then we'll jump right into the analysis. First, I want to check the economic calendar with you. You can see Wednesday today we had 345 flash manufacturing PMI, and at 4 p.m. we will have US home sales. We had a initial open, we had a huge gap up today. We had a huge gap up from yesterday to today, and also a huge new day opening gap. You can see the real gap here, and we have extremely high prices at the very moment. Market is kind of choppy today. Also, let me start with all being said and shown. Here is my personal opinion. I'm not a trade or investment advisor, so please do not risk real money on anything being said and shown here on my channel. However, I will give you my analysis, my opinion. I will do live demo trade executions in front of you, and I'm sure you can gain something out of that. With that being said, let's start right into the trading. I've already done some annotations for you. It looks pretty busy, the chart at the moment. It is also very choppy at the very moment, the session so far. We had a huge gap opening, and the gap is even higher if we consider the 930 opening price. So we're in a huge premium. The price is relatively expensive, and we need to be very careful to go long here. At the very moment, we're also way above the 830 and the midnight opening price here. So very expensive to go long here right now. I'd favor short setups at this point. I'm not very interested in going long at the very moment. Structure is pretty weak. So let's see if we can find some suitable short setups today. It would have to do a lot. It would have to be a very convincing setup for me to risk a long here. Would need to be a very good, very promising long setup. Otherwise, I would prefer to go short at some point once I get a nice high probability setup. Also, if you're watching, feel free to let me know. You can comment or ask in the chat if you have an opinion about the market. If you have questions, feel free to get in touch with me via the chat function. I'm happily responding either live via chat or verbally through this stream. So far, everything looks good in terms of the chat function. Again, I'm not really interested in a long at the very moment because everybody saw price is really expensive. It can go even higher, but the setup is not ideal for going high because I'm buying a very expensive market right now. We have kind of seek and destroy profile at the very moment. We can see that buy side was taken out, sell side was taken out, and we're kind of trapped in the current range. So, and we did not really have a stop run so far. So all lows are intact since yesterday. Low, 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 not a real rate here except at 9 o'clock. There was a little liquidity run here, but since that, everything's still intact, so a lot of shorts resting below the lows here probably. However, the reaction on the higher time frame chart was pretty intense yesterday and today. So a lot of momentum on the upside at the very moment, and I could see these highs being a relatively equal highs being a potential target. We can see it very smooth edges here. So potential, we have taken out this high already, but still there is some buy side liquidity, so we might see a further run up at some point, attacking buy side liquidity again. And so far the fair value gap here is acting as a support, but for this morning session the setups longs are really high risk in my opinion. Also, the market does not really give me an indication that we have a low resistance liquidity run today. Very range bound, very slow market, very efficient market. We can see no fair value gaps here, staying open, everything being balanced. The first presented fair value gap we have here, 937. So far, no trade setup, no high probability trade setup in my opinion so far. One scenario I would be willing to engage would be if we trade through this first presented fair value gap here shaded in red. If we trade through it, close below it, come back into it before we take out these lows here, I'd be willing to try a short here to run for sell side liquidity. Otherwise, I think I would not be willing to engage at the very moment. So far we're not really dropping here. So an indication that we are staying strong here. Nothing I'm interested in right now. Kind of a boring session so far for me. However, what we can watch is we have a potential inversion fair value gap here. We can watch this one and see if price is willing to go above it and act as support for long. If we really get momentum on the upside. But so far we need to wait for price to make a movement, otherwise there is nothing I can do. We are exactly in the middle of the range, so if I measure the fib, we are pretty much at equilibrium. Nothing we can do here. Gun to my head, I think we have still a little bit room to the upside. So if I have to choose, if I have to gamble, I'd prefer, I think it is a little bit more likely that price is continuing higher today. However, as a trade setup, I'd prefer the short here with a first presented inversion fair value gap. But for this I need some movement. Right now we have some momentum to the upside. Maybe something we could work with at some point. So we have traded through this potential inversion fair value gap. If we trade back into this one could be entering a long, and I will do it now on a demo. It's not very high probability, so please do not copy this trade. Okay, error, perfect. Let me reload the page real quick. pretty slow computer today, or internet. And now please connect me. Okay, doesn't work, great. So we have a glitch today. Sorry about that. Someone ringing at my door. Sorry for the noise. Let me check real quick who it is. I'll be right back. Alrighty. Now we have a little bit, so again, no support here. And now we are back to sell side liquidity, very choppy market. Really not very interested in engaging during these conditions. So now we are back at the first presented fair value gap. Here we have the first presented fair value gap touched. Sell side liquidity taken. We have now buy side liquidity somewhat taken, and now we are at the sell side liquidity here. We have taken out these lows here, touched the first presented fair value gap again. So this could be a potential long, however, I don't know what's the issue, but looks like I cannot connect to paper trading today. That's excellent for extreme. We will do analysis instead. Let me see if I can maybe get it going. In the meantime, now we have another run lower here. Yeah, doesn't work today, unfortunately. So we have to do this virtually. What I can try is via the app. So we have just touched the midpoint of this first presented fair value gap. We can see now if we get a rejection, another run higher after taking sell side liquidity and trading to the midpoint again. We can now see if this is a potential long entry or if it stays very weak, trades through it with speed and magnitude, and then we can use it as inversion short. We could use it as inversion short, attacking the sell side liquidity. If it We have to wait now if it's strong and if we see another run up, or if it's weak. At the very moment it looks strong. Unfortunately the connection on my computer is extremely slow today. I don't really know what's the problem with that. It's extremely slow, working extremely slow here. Okay, looks like there is a general glitch with the trading today. So we have to stay with, I have to limit myself to market analysis. So far it looks strong. As long as we respect this fair value gap here and the midpoint here, we can expect higher prices. So this is a potential. We have taken the sell side liquidity out. If we stay strong here, we might see a run to buy side liquidity next. Again, this is not a trending profile, but a seek and destroy profile today. We might want to attack the equal highs here, this high next. However, unfortunately, I cannot engage here, but we could have engaged here, and the target would be somewhat here. Stop would be here, and we can see a 2.5 risk reward ratio trade here with a 0.5% unleveraged potential return and 0.18% potential drawdown stop out. So this is my trade idea. We can see and watch if the setup unfolds. Unfortunately, I cannot engage here at the very moment, since the broker does not connect. But again, please do not risk real money on this today. We have very low probability here, in my opinion, today. And here we go, target hit. So even though if it was just trade idea without execution, we can see that this target was in fact hit here. We have taken out the liquidity here, and we have a 2.5 RR, almost 0.5% unleveraged win. So with a 5 times leverage, that would be a 2.5% win, and we have a good risk to reward ratio here. So the target was hit, so at that point the trade would be closed and I would have taken partial profits here. Since the market is really not very exciting today, I think I'm going to close the stream with this kind of trade analysis and example. However, I think with the current glitch today, not being able to connect with the broker, not even with the demo trading, I will be closing it very soon. We can observe if it holds ground here and goes even higher. I have a modest bullish bias today. I think we traded back into this 15-minute fair value gap here. We have traded back into the first presented fair value gap of today, and we can see we have seen a buy side liquidity run here. So at this point I'd be out and done for the day, and since the price is so choppy, I think I'm going to close it with that today. Was a short session, a successful session in terms of analysis, and I hope that tomorrow I can be back connecting to the broker. I will be back tomorrow streaming at 10 a.m. New York time again, and I hope that we will have a little bit better market than a little bit more loose market here. I hope you found that still exciting. I hope you could get something out of my analysis. We were still profitable in paper trading, or in tape reading, so to say. I would, if you like what I'm doing, I would be very appreciative if you give the stream a like, if you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. That would be a huge motivation for me to keep going, to grow this small little channel. And I will be back tomorrow. I wish you a great day today and all the best, and see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.